Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here with episode 2 of the podcast, formerly known as PDFD Podcast, formerly known as Two Commish One League, now known as Drafts and Drafts. I'm Disaster, aka Dave, alongside Sultan, aka Joe. Joe, you led the charge in developing this podcast, and we now are on a third name change and only at episode 2. So, what brought on this name change to Draft and Drafts? Although I love it, I love the new icon. If you can see it up on YouTube or you'll see in the podcast, what was the reason for the name change?
Dave, yeah, thanks for the quick intro. Yeah, I guess when you initially had the idea, when we were, the whole point I think initially was to try to generate some excitement and buzz around our league. So I thought this was going to be more specifically geared towards just talking about our specific one quarterback dynasty league. And as we started talking about, hey, what kind of direction could this go? What kind of topics would you want to talk about? I was like, oh, this could be a decent listening experience for the average dynasty player or even the average redraft player who's thinking about getting into dynasty. And I'm like, PDFD or Two Commish One League sounds too much like it's a niche show that's specifically for us. And Drafts was kind of a nice play on one, fantasy drafts and draft beer, which we both like, which is something I'm going to get into in a second. And two, D&D shortened is similar to, this type of childhood games we grew up on, like Dungeons and Dragons. So I thought it was a nice layered, complex name that still gets the point across of it being focused on drafts, which again, we're not a draft show, we're a dynasty show. But I mean, after this episode, it's going to be draft season and we're going to get into the rookie draft. But before we do, I would like to, kick off our ceremonial first crack of the beer and talk about, maybe we'll do a quick little draft review. I have here with me the Jack's Abbey Chill Haze New England style IPA.
Okay.
It's not a beer I've ever had before. I don't know if you've ever had it. I'm a fan of Jack's Abbey.
I've had Jack's Abbey, have not had that beer.
Yeah, so this is going to be a live first crack, a live first review. I figured just give the audience a general grade on it, and then maybe you can talk to me about what you're drinking and what the grade is for your beer.
Send it.
All right, first sip. Okay, I'm not really a beer connoisseur. I do love beer, but I can't give you any analysis around the earthy notes or the crunchy tones. But I will say it's tasty. It's juicy. I think for a first crack on air, I give it a B+.
All right, relay what the name is again so the people know.
Yeah, it's called the Jack's Abbey Chill Haze, New England style IPA. It's a 7.5% ABV. Dry hopped with citron.
All right, we don't got to go through the whole can. That's fine. That was good.
Okay. All right. I just gave a quick flash.
Just wanted to know the name of it. All right, well, that's great. I knew that we were going to be doing beer, so I've already cracked my beer. It is in a great cup. The Thor cup we have here, the Asgard College Cup, with Rocket funneling the beer to him. And so for me, my beer is the other half, 7th anniversary. They remade kind of for their 10-year anniversary. And so I've already had a sip. For me, this is also a B+. If you do know me, I am a big craft beer connoisseur. However, I have not been able to get access to a lot of the New England hazy beers that I grew up with in kind of New York City and Massachusetts. And so this is from other half in New York. And these IPAs have been bad. Like, I have not liked them. Really? I'm almost not an IPA guy. And if you want to know, like, if you're in Untapped, you can follow me, Craft Brews NYC. There's over 1,000 check-ins. I'm losing touch. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it as much. I know this is me getting older. Unfortunately, I'm not quite that IPA hophead I used to be. So either way, B+ for me as well. Was kind of boring, but it is. I'd say old Dave, this would have been an A+. And so we're changing gears. But either way, great intro, great name change, Joe. And so I appreciate you putting the effort. He also, if you're on YouTube, if you saw the first episode, it was very much me just making a very quick scene in OBS. If you don't know streaming stuff, it's kind of the setup. You can self-create things. And so while it was serviceable, it definitely wasn't what we kind of aspired to, and with how much fun Joe and I had in the first podcast, we decided that we wanted to kind of elevate that. So Joe is as a pretty graphic designy background in him over the last 10 years. And so for him, he put this together, whipped it up pretty quick in the last week or so that we haven't done an episode. And if you're on YouTube, hopefully it's a slightly better viewing experience. Potentially next time we'll have even bigger video, and we'd love to even elevate this to be able to pull up some live websites or statistics or things that we're kind of viewing and actually talking about that we have on our side screens but are not being displayed to the public. Either way, we'll try to share links so you guys can see them too. So without further ado, this is the beginning of free agency. Joe and I were not going to do this podcast until like a week and a half from now. Frankly, we started talking yesterday, and yesterday being March 11th on Monday, and we just got so jacked up on what was kind of happening that we just knew we had to do this podcast now. And so I think we know where we want to start. So I'll throw it to you, Joe. We want to start with Kirk. Big old Kirky going to the Falcons. And so I know this is actually for you in our league, this is also an important piece, but how excited are you? Are you excited? What are your thoughts on the Kirk Cousins move to the Falcons?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Kirk Cousins deal is the most significant free agent acquisition I can remember in my fantasy career. Again, I know Rodgers was a huge deal last year, but he is 39. I don't know. It just feels the contract size was a 2-year with a pick swap. It was a trade actually. So, but not only from fantasy ramifications, it's also probably the biggest real life NFL change in power in terms of the Falcons immediately go from a perennial 7-10 team to probably the likely favorites to win the NFC South, given that how destitute that division is with Bryce Young struggling and the Saints being 100 million over the cap. And the Bucks were a pleasant surprise last year, but I mean, Mike Evans. So I think Kirk walks into an awesome situation. I mean, clearly a downgrade from Justin Jefferson, but every receiver in football is a downgrade from Justin Jefferson. So going from JJ to London is not much. He's no slouch. I mean, London may not have put up the fantasy value that everyone wants to see, the flashiness that everyone is yearning for, but on a team that's averaged 25 to 28 passing attempts per game, Drake London's kind of thrived. It's been a low key. He's been off to a pretty solid start to his first 2 seasons, and I think adding a pass first oriented quarterback along with a coach that seems to be wanting to revolutionize the way the Falcons have done things, judging by his comments on how excited he is to have London and Bijan Robinson. I'm looking forward to seeing the way this team works. Obviously, there's some concerns around Kirk's injury, but before we get into any fantasy ramifications, Dave, what was your gut reaction when you saw 4 years, $180 million to a 36-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles injury?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like I don't know how I view it. I think to contextualize it into the contract side to me, every contract that's come out has looked stupid. But it's also because I raised the cap that I have not mentally adjusted. And for me, again, just for those who are tuning in maybe for the first time or didn't catch this in the first episode, we are not professional analysts. We are not, dive deep, super deep stat guys. We are just guys that love fantasy football and want to talk about it a little bit. And so for me, I am not a contract guy. I don't even in my, cheers to you. Even in my fantasy side, I do not really evaluate what's happening with contracts. And I should, from a dynasty perspective, to know who's up for contract. They get franchise tagged, what that might implicate for next year. Should I trade against that or go try to acquire people in that way? So for me, the contract is kind of null and void. I think knowing he's going to be there for an extended period of time, 4 years on the offer is important. But I thought the Baker Mayfield $100 million one was nuts too. So to see Kirk at 180, I think Kirk is great. It still feels so bloated. And I'm a huge Kirk Cousins fan, especially after watching quarterback. And so for me though, seeing him go to the Falcons, I think it's really exciting to see it play out. I also wonder, I don't know, at least in our age, and we're both, early mid 30s. I don't know if there's anyone else that you and I have seen since we've probably been 10 that has been this travel around quarterback, but also has
Yeah.
always been viewed as like such a good quarterback once he gets there. And it's kind of been since the you like that in Washington. But
Yeah.
to me, that was like the coming out of Kirk. He proved it then in Minnesota, and now he's going to go somewhere else where I more so than anything, I was shocked he left Minnesota with Justin Jefferson wearing his like t-shirts, his graphic tees on the practice sidelines. To me, that was just like, if you're Minnesota, Kirk's such a good community guy. And he's really wasn't looking for, I mean, I don't know how big the payday was compared to what they had in cap space to pay, but I feel like Kirk probably would have taken the home field discount if it was in the same ballpark. So for me, I was just more shocked. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. If I wasn't tapped into like where the Vegas betting odds were going, I would have been flabbergasted. But it is kind of funny that the Falcons were the odds-on favorite for both Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins' destinations for 2024. So it was like you knew for a fact they weren't rolling out Desmond Ridder or Marcus Mariota ever again after posting basically two bottom five.
I don't even think Mariota's still there. Is he? Didn't he like walk off and
No,
like go somewhere else?
Mariota was 2 years ago, and he
Yeah.
posted like a bottom five passer rating season of all time. And
Well,
then they followed that up with Ritter, who posted an even worse passing grade than Murray. It's like London has been like everyone makes cope excuses, like myself excluded. I'm the biggest copium adjuster for all my players, but my God, London has been you. Everyone who says, "Oh, Garrett Wilson's had it so unlucky with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco," and I'm like, Joe Flacco has been great for wide receivers. Like, shut the fuck up. I can swear.
listen, the only person that I think is on the same ballpark as him is Terry McLaurin, and that's my homer guy.
Yeah,
But like, he's just
Terry
had,
and DJ Moore up until last year.
yeah, terrible quarterback play. But okay, so diving into actually the fantasy implications, because I think for us it's pretty massive. And the funny thing is, if you look at the Falcons, their defense last year to me was better than expected. Like, it definitely wasn't, they weren't letting up 45 points a game. And so to me, they were relatively actually competitive on their defense, more so than people gave them credit for, especially towards the midpoint of the season. And then you look at the offense, their offense is so freaking young that to have, sure, Kirk right now is technically an old guy at 36, but to have him until his age 40 season and have four potentially really solid years, I mean, that could put them in, top four NFC rankings potentially if they can actually find good synergy. I think that the wild card, and you brought him up, I didn't hear any of his comments, so I can't speak to that. But the defensive coordinator from the Rams coming in to be the head coach, if there's a red flag or something that, I have questions over, is that, and I don't even know, did they replace their offensive coordinator too? I feel like they had to have once they let Arthur Smith go, but I don't know. And so either way, I think those are some wild cards, but on paper, to see Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan, and Kirk Cousins roll out onto the field feels pretty freaking elite.
And Darnell Mooney,
Yes.
who they just signed. Yeah. So the quote that I'm recalling, and I can't find it right now, is they asked what's his name, Zach Robinson, or I can't remember his name, is the new head coach, and they asked him, what's the main what was the main reason why you Raheem Morris, what was the main reason why you wanted to come to Atlanta? And he was like, I'll give you two, Drake London and Bijan Robinson. So like right away, that. I mean, again,
right away, Kyle Pitts managers in shambles.
But you also know that it's totally opposite of Arthur Smith's vibe with the reporters, which was he was always, and maybe this is just my own conjecture, but it felt like Arthur Smith was out to prove a point to the reporters that, hey, I can win without using my fantasy players, just to shove it in your fantasy nerds' faces. Like, quit asking me why we're not throwing to London. London doesn't care about catching passes. He cares about W's. And I could bet your fucking ass London was sitting in the corner going, I don't give a fuck about us scraping together 6 wins a season if I'm going to have multiple games where you don't even throw the ball my way. Like, he was a superstar at USC. He had one of the most prolific junior seasons ever. He went on to be a top 10 draft pick. You have to think he's sitting there going, why did you draft me if you were going to have me blocking for Jonnu Smith end arounds? Like, what are we doing here? So it was pretty exciting for me as a Drake London bag holder. And I'm sure every Bijan owner, every Pitts owner who I'm sorry, I don't think it's all Arthur Smith's fault that Pitts has been struggling, but everyone had to breathe a nice sigh of relief that one, the head coach is already talking about the weapons on offense instead of talking about how good the defense is. And two, they brought in a quarterback that's known to feed his top 2 or 3 targets, and he's not a threat to go scramble for rushing yards. So Bijan owners rejoice. When he gets in trouble, he's probably going to look to outlet pass to Bijan in the flat. That's just, at least the type of football I grew up on was Tom Brady getting under pressure and him sling passing it over to Shane Vereen on the right or slinging it over to Deion Smith on the left or Deion Lewis, Deion Smith, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I think London. So this was a conversation I had with Dan a week ago. I was like, would you be shocked to learn that Drake London, his rookie year in redraft, was a 6th-round pick? His sophomore year, he was a 5th-round pick. And this is a week ago, by the way, before they signed Kirk Cousins. Last week, before they even signed Kirk Cousins, Drake London had already leaked into the 3rd round of redraft ADP, despite putting up no better than a wide receiver 3 season. And he was like, yeah, that doesn't really make much sense why his ADP is getting higher and his reduction's getting lower. And I was like, it's because he's just been such a phenomenal receiver that I think people are baking in a QB improvement, which for the most part should lead to better fantasy production. I think that he's the biggest winner out of everything that happened. I think Kirk Cousins has kind of a neutral output. And I think JJ is so QB proof that he doesn't really take much of a hit. Yeah, if the offense is going to be a little worse, he's probably going to get a few less quality targets, but he's still the engine that makes Minnesota go. What about you? What do you think the biggest winners and losers of the Kirk Cousins signing are?
Yeah, I was kind of trying to look up. I'm trying to remember from past seasons how good or bad the Minnesota running team game has been. And I can't quite recall because it's been like DeAndre Swift has
Dalvin
been
Cook 2 years ago.
What?
You said the Minnesota running game?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook was like a top 12 running back 4 years in a row.
Yeah, so I mean maybe that's the best comparison because I was thinking about last season was terrible. And yeah, so I guess that's probably there you go. So I mean you now have if you run that same plan out there, tight end or wide receiver 1, RB1 all have performed well in the last 3 years with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. And so to me, that's what you're touting and trying to bring to Atlanta. I think that I don't really know there's any losers outside of like tertiary players that are not kind of on the Falcons. It's like the tertiary players from the Vikings that are the concern right now. You're talking about Addison, you're talking about Hawkinson. Where do they go from here? And I think Addison being so young, I think he can figure it out. I kind of wonder actually the bigger picture, and this is maybe too big for where we are right now with only one guy into free agency talking about it, is so many people are so less loyal to their teams and so many teams are so less loyal to players. Does Jefferson stay at his next contract now? Kirky's gone.
So he's got to be
right. He's got to be like, all right, I'm out at my next contract.
So he was drafted in 2021, right, or 2020. So this has got to be his final year. I think this is his final year. They picked up his rookie option, I'm assuming, 5th-year option. So I wonder. You're right. I wonder if it depends. I think the Vikings probably take a rookie QB in the draft, and that's why they signed Sam Darnold to kind of be like a I don't know. We're getting into conjecture I haven't thought about. But I feel like there's a situation where JJ stays. Obviously, it could be JJ and JJ McCarthy. But yeah, I think you're right. There's no real
his
losers. Free
agency is 2025.
Yeah. So
I mean that's so that's the other thing where you start to look at like they weren't quite as long tenured etc. as like Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but if I really want to play with Kirk, Falcons got some cap space. Maybe I go play with the Falcons.
Oh my God. Did you wait? I just heard this earlier today. Did you know that the Bengals offered the Vikings T. Higgins and 2 first-round picks for Justin Jefferson and they turned it down?
I did not.
I just saw that like probably a half hour before we got on this call. I don't know if it's real or not. It literally was a tweet I saw that I'm like, could be fake, but Wow, could you imagine that wide receiver room? Joe Burrow throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
I mean, that sounds like Brent's team.
My
But
God.
anyways, so I think Kirk is incredible. I actually then want to jump. Let's keep going. I want to hit as many names as we can in this time because there's been
Yeah.
so many
Let's
adjustments go through. Let's go to Russell Wilson, and I think we talked about before the contract piece, and the most staggering thing to me is that for Kirk's nets out to be $45 million a year. Russell's is one. And listen, I think the whole Denver experience was just bad, and there's coach challenges, there's differencing of opinions. I also think Russell Wilson is kind of just a little bitch. I think that he has terrible team camaraderie and chemistry, and so but I do think it's a combination of
He's a
both
weirdo.
there. Yeah, he's 100%. He's a complete weirdo, and so I do think that there's some lack of synergy that he has caused in friction wise, especially after he kind of hit it big in Seattle and then has explored other options. I love that he's going to the Steelers personally, but at the same time, I feel like his contract is so undervalued. It's just like I don't even like I don't know even how to fathom where like Russell Wilson was a perennial top, just from a fantasy perspective, was a top fantasy performing quarterback for a long time, to now be worth the value of 145th of that of Kirk Cousins. And I know Russ is a little older, but not
Now,
that
keep
much
in
older.
mind, he's got the rest of his contract that the Broncos are still paying out because they
Sure,
cut him. So, like,
sure.
yeah, he signed a $1 million or whatever. I don't know the specifics of his
It
contract.
says on PFF $1.2 million.
Holy shit. That looks so funny when you see it like that. Yeah, he's still making like $90 million over the next 3 years from the Broncos.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's one. I don't know how it works, but like he's got a guaranteed
Hold on, hold
he's
on.
still owed like 80 million of his remaining 90 by the Broncos. Might be all due to him this year.
By the way, Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson are 3 months difference in age.
Really? I didn't know Russ was that old. I thought he was younger.
I thought Russell's older actually, but no, yeah, they were both born in 1988.
Yeah. So let's pause there for a second.
What?
Okay. Just thought you want to pause between takes.
No, no, no,
Um,
no, no, no. No, now I gotta call this out. You just ruined it. I got it. You just ruined the edits. It's okay. It's only your second
keep this
episode.
in. Guys, I'm trying. I'm doing this for you.
What an awkward pause. Again. I said we could only get better from there in the beginning of the first podcast, and I feel like we're right now plateauing, but hopefully we can maintain that plateau. So let's keep going.
Here, type F's in the chat if you think we're getting better.
Anyways, keep going on the Russ side.
Yeah, so I don't have a strong opinion of Russ because it doesn't affect me. I think Russ is cooked. I think he didn't cook. I think he is cooked. I think he showed signs of his inability. He wants to push the ball downfield and he can't anymore. So he runs around in the pocket, looks downfield, tries to make a hero play that he used to be able to make in his 20s because he was a freak athlete. Which thank God he was a freak athlete because he has the social awareness of like a pine cone. So I mean, if not for that, I don't know what he'd be doing for a career. But yeah, it's interesting for the Steelers. They have that incredible defense. TJ Watt. I'm pretty sure I saw some stat last year that the Steelers were like 14-1 in games that TJ Watt recorded a sack or some. I could have completely made that stat up. So nobody fact check me and just trust me on this. The whole point was that like they're very good when TJ Watt gets going, and the only drawback was another stat I saw was after Will Levis's first 2 career games, he had more career passing touchdowns than Kenny Pickett had accumulated in his first 2 career years. Like he had 6 and
Yeah, it was
I
some
think,
like crazy stat. I remember that stat. Yeah.
and it was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, no offense to Kenny Pickett, all due respect, he's way better at whatever he's doing than what I'm doing. But my God, like, how can you be that inept in that? It just like he's literally just a placeholder back there. He's dropping back and handing off, dropping back and dumping off. Like he's clearly not playmaking. So I don't care who you put back there. I don't know his passing grades off the top of my head, but I imagine Russ is a huge upgrade for the sheer fact that you have the veteran leadership. You have hopefully the wherewithal to know how to change the play at the line pre-snap and know how to get if you're putting the team in the best position pre-snap. That's such a huge part of football that I don't know anything about that. I'm assuming Russ does.
So,
So
well, the only piece I heard today when I was listening to some other analysts talk is that they had actually watched the film on Russ from last year, and they talked specifically about how many open guys he just never threw to. And to me, that was a
wow.
big red flag. That I was like, okay, that doesn't sound that great. Because even statistically, he didn't have a great season last year, but he's better than what the Steelers have, is one. Um, Two, I think that the thing that you said about veteran leadership, I think that that's actually the negative of Russ. He doesn't come with veteran leadership. He just comes as a veteran. He's not a leader. He's not gonna
That was my
motivate
fault.
and rally the team. Yeah, like
Poor wording on my part.
he's gonna say let's ride, and they're just not gonna ride. They're just gonna stand, and he's gonna walk
Let's
away.
weld.
Yeah,
Let's forge.
yeah. So I don't know, but I think that we saw some other big things. So let's talk about the Steelers real quick, because for me, I have Pickens, and I just saw Deontay Johnson, I think, is getting traded or has at least requested a
He got
trade.
traded. He got traded to the Panthers like an hour ago.
So let's see if I can find that. Yeah, traded to the Panthers. So now, if it's Pickens, we saw Pickens last year in like 3 games where Deontay was out, just ball out with,
Yeah.
I think it wasn't it was the little white boy that got hit with the helmet. I don't know why I can't think of his name.
Mason Rudolph.
It was Mason Rudolph. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Mason Rudolph that was throwing the ball, not Trubisky. And
Yep.
yeah, it just was like,
You need a guy willing to push the ball downfield.
but you
It's
really saw
perfect
what Pickens
pairing.
could be if he just got the target velocity and you threw him the contested throws, which you need the QB to do that too. The unfortunate side, again, from an analyst perspective, not Dave's perspective, is that Russ doesn't do that a lot. Russ does not like to throw those contested throws, which is also a challenge again. So like the paper, it looks good. I think from these analysts that are looking deeper into it, there's some concerns. For me, I'm gonna probably hold Pickens. I'll see if I can get a really good deal for him. But for me, my team, I'm super excited, and
Yeah.
I think we'll see.
What's a really good deal for Pickens for you?
What's a really good deal for Pickens?
Like, what would it take for you to move off him right now? This would be good for the.
It would probably be, and this is me and my specific situation, just
I
to
think
just to let everyone know. No, but to let everyone know my situation. My team is old. My team is old, and
Oh, yeah.
Pickens is one of my younger guys, and so the challenge there is that either I need him to pan out, or I don't mind selling him, but I can't sell him for like another old asset or like a yet to be proven asset. I think it could. I think if anything, right now he's projected to probably be my third, or one of my. We have 2 flex positions in our league. He's projecting to be one of those 2 flex positions for me right now.
Definitely.
I think to move off of him would probably be a first, and replacing that flex position with something slightly devalued or with less upside, but something that's kind of consistent. Someone that's going to get me
or an older player with a first. Like,
yeah.
I think you could reasonably move off him for a Tyler Lockett and a first. Lockett's probably a bad example, but the type of player.
Sure,
That's
I'll
like
tell you what. I'll tell you what.
year-old.
If Austin wants to send me Keenan Allen in the first, I would do it. Because Keenan
Yeah,
Allen,
I
you
think
really
that'd
don't
be
know where that cliff's going to be. He had an amazing season. Hopefully, he can still rally me 9 to 11 double digit fantasy points. But then at least I have a first in the background lingering there that at least I can try to get something else and replacing for him.
Yeah.
But I was going to say,
I think
even if you don't want to add a player, I would even still think like, if it was a team that I was fairly confident they weren't going to be top 6, so I was going to have a top 6 pick in the next year, that first round pick and like a second, or like even going to this draft, if someone wanted me to offer me one of the first 6 picks and an early second round pick, I'd probably do that for Pickens. Because you're taking this, to me, I'm not looking to sell. I'm actually kind of salivating it because I saw those 3 or 4 games where I was like, holy shit, Pickens is really good. And it's something I saw in the first season, in his rookie season, but I was waiting to actually see in any consistency. And so we saw it. And then all of a sudden Deontay Johnson came back and they're like, yeah, we're going to keep dumping off to him. And I was like, this fucking sucks. So I think, but I think you do have some concerns right now, even going into this. I guess we'll know pre-rookie draft what the team's drafted. But there's that question, right? Do the Steelers now go pick up another wide receiver? What's going to happen with the running back situation? Where's Najee? Where's Jalen Warren? Like, how involved are they in this situation? Are they still a run first team? Is it a bunch of Jalen Warren dump offs now instead? So there's just kind of that question mark there of like, what's going to actually happen with the Steelers now that they have this new weapon and kind of new design? But I think if you're a Pickens manager, and for me in our league, but in any league, this is like, your first chance to really prove it. And I think you also would know, you know what it is, Joe. You know what it fucking is. This is Nico Collins, baby. It's year 3. It's year 3. Ball out. Year 3. George Pickens is here. He's gonna ball out. No Deontay. It's time to ball out, and that's what Nico did. And so new QB too, not a young QB, but a new QB. And I think that's got to be your hope. If you're coming in, if you're going to carry Pickens into the season or go trade for him, that has to be your hope. And I think some managers might be spooked and they'll be like, I don't know, like Deontay's gone. It's going to be a solo dolo Pickens world. How does that pan out? Russ is cooked. Like, I don't know, it's going to work out. And first, other managers are like, hey, I've seen Russ perform before. He did well with I'm blanking, not Jerry Jeudy, but the second wide receiver, Cortland Sutton. Thank you.
And he's a very similar play style to George Pickens in terms of no disrespect. George Pickens isn't a immaculate route runner who creates 6 yards of separation, is wide open on the sound. George Pickens burns you with athleticism, incredible hands, and he's got that dog in him.
Yeah, 100%.
And I actually think it's a good pairing. But I mean, it's not to be overlooked that this is a very good George Pickens sell window just opened up. Like probably the biggest one that might have ever. Don't tell anyone in our league, but and Dave? What do you say to people who say, George Pickens is just black and yellow, Gabe Davis?
I'd say it's Gabe Davis times like 1.3. Like it's 130% Gabe Davis. It's you're not wrong at that situation. I mean,
that was a super nice compliment to Gabe Davis.
Yeah, no, I think Gabe Davis is 70% less of George Pickens. Either way you want to spin it, but yeah, I don't disagree. Like that was been the most frustrating thing as a Pickens owner for the last 2 years. If you drafted him as a rookie, is that you see these flashes in game. If you're actually watching tape, you see flashes on tape. You see the spurts when Johnson's not there. It's like this guy could be truly a top 12 wide receiver in the league, but there's so many things that have prevented him, from bad QB play to Deontay Johnson to Pat Freiermuth having good games. Like there's just so many to Steelers being a run first team. Like there's so many barriers that have always kind of been a headwind. But I also have this weird like suspicion. There's a lot of teams trending this way, and now the Steelers are currently in this boat where they are heavy wide receiver 1, tight end 1, and then they have a solid running back core. And Steelers is now that team. They have Pat Freiermuth, they have George Pickens, they have Warren and Najee, and that's kind of it. And they might just roll with that, right? And just like you saw, just like the Falcons, like that's truly what I know Donald Mooney is in there, but like truly that's what the Falcons are, right? It's those heavy 3, and you've seen the Chiefs run with that when it was Hill, Kelsey, and then I saw like a decent enough kind of running back split. And so I wonder if teams are starting to try to lean into that tight end as their actual true receiving option 2. And then they have their alternate wide receivers that are kind of floating in here. The running back's also a wide receiver option, and they have to at least have 1 or 2 guys that can do that, either that workhorse that can do it like a McCaffrey or the alternate like Warren. And so I wonder if it just seems like as we're talking more about this, the more people that are leaving, and you saw Higgins now is requested a trade, it feels like teams/players are like, either I'm the alpha dog or I'm kind of this back roll Betty that's just trying to figure it out and hopefully get some catches. I don't know.
Oh my God. All right, Dave, I think we spent too much time talking about the fucking Steelers.
Yeah, we did.
Do you want to move to a new position group?
What'd you say?
Do you want to move to a new position group? You want
to
talk about some of the running backs?
Let's go running backs. Let's go running backs.
Okay. Pause.
You don't have to say pause. We just know to pause. You just don't say anything for 5 seconds. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Did you get that?
Let's jump into running backs. There's a lot of places we can go here. I think I've seen the one that you want to start with. I want to start with because I hadn't even seen this until like an hour or 2 ago because I've been so busy with work and other things. Josh Jacobs to the Packers. Holy shit.
Interesting one.
Well, sadly, Homer, what's left on the Raiders other than Devontae Adams? Is the only thing there Devontae Adams?
I think he's gone, bro. He ain't if Gardner Minshew's there on opening day, ain't a shot he's sticking around for that.
Devontae Adams might retire. He might just be like, fuck y'all, I'm out.
You might say, bro, I'm better off just sitting at home than taking this
He's like,
beating from
he's like, yeah, I can go make more money doing endorsements than I can enjoying
right.
playing football with this scrub of a team with no
Getting Gardner
coach.
Minshew hospital balls.
Or you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna go play cornerback with Mason Crosby on the defense. He's gonna be like, at least this team's fucking trying. The offense
They
doesn't know what
did.
the fuck they're doing, but the defense
Didn't they
does.
just sign Christian Wilkins, or they signed somebody a defensive tackle?
I
I
didn't
have it
see. I
open.
don't know. I just know Mason
They
Crosby
signed
is
like the
a
best
dog.
DT on the market right now. Um,
Which again, maybe he's like, fuck the offense. I'm gonna go just win with the defense and we'll figure it out. Although Devontae Adams at cornerback would be freaking
yeah,
sick.
they signed
Or
Christian
safety.
Wilkins to a 4-year, $110 million deal. So now it's
Sick.
Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby on that D line is like the. I mean, again, it's because what's their? I forgot the head coach's name there. The
Yeah,
former D
it's a new interim guy, right?
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
He's a defensive guy, so they're building from the defense up. Like, no disrespect, I think Devontae needs to get the fuck out of Las Vegas.
Well, I'm okay
But
if he
yeah,
stays.
so,
It's just like again, there's only so many or quarterback free agents. I don't even know if there's any really good left, truthfully.
no,
Um,
Justin Fields waiting for that trade.
sure,
My God,
sure.
Justin Fields owners got to be in shambles right now.
I don't think that's a quarterback. It's a running back playing quarterback. It's not really a quarterback. Like,
He's going to go to Las Vegas to sign as the RB1.
if he goes to that actually is funny. If he goes to the Raiders, I will without a doubt take a third for Devontae Adams. Like, I will be so disappointed because
He supported DJ Moore last
I
year.
know, and I was so disappointed by that. I dropped DJ Moore after week 2 because I was like,
My God.
because you know why I drafted DJ Moore last year in a redraft league in the 5th round, and I was like, all these people were so high on him, whatever, and I was like, I saw the preseason, and all they did was like a 3-yard dump off to
Yeah.
the sideline, and then DJ Moore ran, which is like against a first line defense. I don't think that's actually going to work. And then somehow it actually kind of worked throughout the whole NFL season, which is maybe more credit to then DJ Moore and how good he is and how still shitty Justin Fields is. But
Yeah.
I just can't support it. I loathe all the aspects of what Justin Fields is as a QB. I don't know him I can't speak to him as a person. I don't know really anything about him as a person, but as a QB, I don't enjoy it. Anyways,
No, he's not a good quarterback.
on to the running back side. Josh Jacobs to the Packers. And then I also want to echo in there, we saw not AJ Dillon. It was
Aaron Jones got cut and signed with the Vikings.
Aaron Jones cut, goes to the Vikings. So talk about those two.
So I don't have a ton to say about Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, to be honest. I'll keep it succinct and let you take it over. But I think Jacobs is still young by person standards. He's only 26. He's was one of the most highly coveted draft prospects out of Alabama. He kind of underperformed his way through Las Vegas, except for last year, not this past year, but 2022. He was lights out, outstanding. Top, I think, might have been running back 1 overall. But he's still a good running back, and I think he fits in really well with that core in Green Bay. Yeah, it's quite a slap in the face to Aaron Jones to cut him after that playoff run they made where he went a 3-touchdown game versus Dallas. He had multiple 100-yard games to close out that season. But my God, if you don't think Josh Jacobs is an upgrade for that offense, you're a homer and you're a pretender and you're being a Josh Jacobs hater because he makes that offense a little bit better. And maybe that's all Jordan Love needs to make that next step as a passer. Yeah, we saw both ends of the spectrum from him as a quarterback. We saw the terrible moments in the early half part of the season. I think they got thrashed by the Lions on Thursday night at one point, and then we saw him shine the second half of the season. We saw him just literally destroy the Cowboys defense, which was like a top 5 defense all year, first round of playoffs. On the back of a 29-year-old running back in AJ Dillon, who I know it's a running joke, but I think he actually has concrete shoes on. Like he just doesn't. He runs really hard and doesn't move anyone. It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, Jacobs is a complete back. He can do everything. He can catch the ball. He can block. He can run. Obviously, I don't know the run scheme stuff. I'm not an X's and O's guy, but that offense just seems like it's built now. They don't need to address anything on offense in this draft. They can spend every ounce of draft capital on the defensive side of the ball and I think they're going to be in a good position to challenge the Lions to win the NFC North this season. But from a fantasy side, I don't love Jacobs. I don't hate him. I think he's probably RB12. I wouldn't trade a top 6 pick for him. I would probably trade a bottom 107 to 112. Probably what I'd send for him straight up if I needed a running back. Obviously, I don't as the reigning champion, but
There is no way you could get Josh Jacobs for a single first.
you don't think so?
No, I'm gonna make that trade offer today. That would be amazing.
Okay, I think he's
right now.
You don't. You don't have a first, Dave.
Not this year. I have a first.
You don't have the 2027 first yet till you have a rookie draft.
I got a first on my team. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no
first. I looked at it like earlier today.
You're right. I don't have a first, but you know what? I have heart. I have a lot of heart.
keep that in the video.
I have a lot of heart. Okay. So what's the okay? Pause real quick. Just
yeah.
I think you can almost call this show tangential because we're gonna have a tangential conversation to what you just said. Okay, I have a lot of seconds, thirds, fourths. What's the value to match a first? 2 seconds.
Almost. Because of the way we just saw the way the lottery should go, I almost think firsts are invaluable. That's my personal. There's not an amount of firsts unless there's a number on that first. If it's my 112, of course I will take the 204 and 206 for the 112.
No. I'm saying so ignoring the spec of like individual picking. I'm just saying like middle of the season. Yeah, middle of the season. What's the first worth? Is it okay? So if I can't give you a first, is 2 seconds equivalent? Is it 2 seconds and a third? Is it 3 seconds?
Yeah. Like if you're trying to trade me. I have Josh Jacobs, and you're trying to send me a first.
I'm gonna whatever you say right now. I'm gonna go send him right.
Yeah, I think if you were sending me a second round pick in this year and an additional 2 seconds anywhere else, that would be enough for me to send Josh Jacobs midseason. If I didn't have probably 2 seconds would be enough for me if I was not competing because he's 26, he'll be going on 27 midseason. And I'm saying right now, if I'm a Josh Jacobs holder and I am on the fringe of competing or not, and I'm deciding what to do, I'm probably taking a 1 and a 2, any first and a second, and I'm probably moving off Jacobs in a 1 QB.
Nick has Josh Jacobs. I don't even know how that happened.
He traded for him with
Austin
a couple years ago for Dameon Pierce, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Was it Dameon Pierce?
It was Dameon. It was Josh Jacobs, Pat Fryermuth, and a 2023 second for Dameon Pierce, Kenny Pickett, a 24 first, and a 25 first.
A 24 first became the 105. Yeah, Printy's team might be the most fucked in our league, by the way. If you're watching Printy, like you need to do something besides sit on your thumb. Like at least Trevor, whose team's also fucked, made deals and now he has the 102. And who knows, he could probably trade that for a king's ransom right now. But like, I mean, Nick's team is like, yeah, he has some great running backs right now. Saquon, Jacobs, Pacheco. I'm sure there's something else I'm missing, but like, other than that, his wide receivers were fantastic in 2019. Fucking Mike Evans and I don't even remember who else, but Tyler Lockett, like his wide receiver core was nice 4 years ago.
His team's not terrible. Yeah, so I mean, Mike Evans and Brandon Ayuk is not terrible for a singular season. His running backs are good for a while. Isaiah Pacheco, Barkley, as you said, Jacobs. I mean, there's a lot of things to like from the running back side, but yeah, he should sell 2 of those running backs for a king's ransom. Go get a bunch of picks. Go upgrade and then maybe even trade those picks to go get surefire wide receivers, and then
go from there. You know who the perfect candidate is? Look at Bohm's team now, and look at how good every part of his team is except for running back.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to say they are the most natural trade partners. Like, you know that picture of like Mike Tyson trying to make the birds kiss? That's like us trying to make Bohm and Printy trade.
Yep. Well, we'll see what happens.
Anyways,
back to what we're talking about. Yeah, so Jacobs, I'm in the exact same camp. I truly actually do not love him, but I also didn't love him because he was a Raider and I didn't trust their team, especially from a run standpoint, because you saw last year with Henry turned into Tyjae Spears real quick when they were down by 14. And so the same challenge I had with Jacobs, where why are we going to be handing off the ball to Jacobs when we're down 14 as a Raiders? They're going to keep throwing the ball. And so on the Packers, though, very intriguing. Love their
That's
offense.
such a good point, man.
Super excited about it. So I think for him, I mean, he could be RB1. And this is me now. I hope Prenti doesn't actually listen or watch this. But I really do think Josh Jacobs could be RB1 this season. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Green Bay, but I think that the interesting thing, and then talking to some other league mates about this, all their wide receivers are so good. No one's an alpha, at least that we've seen right now. And so I think it's going to be, we have plenty of weapons to throw to. We have a stud running back now. And we have a pretty competent quarterback that we're going to bell cow this back with a lot of RPO, and it's just going to be like play action. It's going to be phenomenal. So I think that's such an amazing trade. It makes Raiders look like fucking, I'm so worried about the Raiders. And then I think even the same thing too, seeing the Vikings now sign Aaron Jones, kind of the same question mark there. But like now the Vikings, even though Aaron Jones, I have question marks on him, the Vikings are still in the same predicament right now where who the hell is their quarterback going to be? I don't even know
it's Sam Darnold right now. Sam Darnold.
I know, but what's their pick? What's their first pick? Do we know?
They have the 13th overall pick in the draft, or the 11th overall pick, I think.
Yeah, so like
they're not going to get.
No,
oh, they could get a franchise quarterback.
They could probably get like Penix or something. Like, but who wants that? Like,
right? Maybe JJ McCarthy slides if he doesn't get drafted in the top 6. I do think it's weird that the Vikings would let Kirk go and then sign Aaron Jones and then not have a plan for quarterback aside from.
That's why that's where, if you want to take one piece outside, maybe I don't know, maybe the Dalvin Cook letting him go or not, I don't know, but I'd say that of one team that has acquired talent at a good pace, it's been the Vikings, especially on offense, drafting and free agency. Like, they got Kirk, they got Justin Jefferson, they got Jordan Addison, they got like. They have hit in a lot of areas in what they've been doing decisively as a team for their offense.
Yeah.
And we don't know. I mean, I haven't heard what their offer was to Kirk to try to keep him to stay. I know that they were offering him something, though. But we don't know what the numbers are and how different they were from what the Falcons were offering. Either way, I feel like they had to have had some backup plan, that they were like, okay, we're okay if you leave, but like, we really love you to stay for this offer. But if you got a better one, like, it's okay. And so I'm optimistic the Vikings are going to figure it out, but because they have done so well over the last, I'll call it 3-4 years, but I have concerns. So going back
you're right. I'm so shocked that, before we can move on, I'm so shocked that if Kirk really wanted to go back to the Vikings and the cap just went up, what was stopping them from matching that deal? Like, unless Kirk wanted to leave, I don't understand how their team is built to win right now. Justin Jefferson is in his prime. TJ Hawkinson, albeit injured, is in his prime. Like, you sign Kirk back, then you go get Aaron Jones. Like, signing Aaron Jones, it makes me believe they have some other. Maybe they are going to be. I don't think you can trade for Fields, same division. Like, there's no way. What is their plan for quarterback? It cannot be Sam Darnold. Trey Lance. Is there any Trey Lance fans still in here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have so many questions there as to what they're actually going to do, but I also know that there's some bad teams with decent quarterbacks that are picking early, and that maybe they're going to be like, hey, okay, yeah, we'll pick the quarterback that everyone wants, and then we'll trade one of them and figure it out. That's kind of like in the back of my pocket what I'm weirdly suspecting is going to happen. But you're right, exactly on that. And I mean, they still have Josh Dobbs, technically, I think.
Oh, he's a free agent.
Well, okay. He has an apartment or a hotel room in Minnesota somewhere. So he's
got a hostel.
he's got a zip code that you can send mail to that probably is still relevant to Minnesota. So either way, I'm concerned, but I'm also questioning what's actually going to be coming there. Let's go. We've got this point where we're going to hit, but let's go hit Saquon, because I know you want to talk about Saquon. Let's hit Saquon first. Going to the Eagles.
Wait, can I pee break and beer break, or is it going to script the pod? All right, I'm going quick.
All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Be right back.
Pee break.